Go ahead.
Hola, amor.
Okay, so I'm Mary, Noemi, and Jose, and we're on the affirmative side. We think that the U.S. government should no longer utilize the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act should not have been passed because it violates the Constitution. The Patriot Act would not have prevented 9/11 and is not needed to combat future terrorists.
The government shall no longer be utilized the Patriot Act because the people want to have their own privacy. They don't want anyone spying on them and listening to their thoughts.
So the Patriot Act consists of a large number of provisions, but after the 9/11 attack, these provisions are no longer needed. So it was just making up for lost time, and as we lost security after the 9/11 attack. So some other things, it gives too much power to the law enforcement. It's just a grab bag of the amendments to the previous laws. So it's needlessly jeopardizing our fundamental constitution values, including the freedom of speech, freedom of association and religion, privacy, and due process.
So another reason why the government shall no longer be utilized the Patriot Act is because they are putting too much time into the Patriot Act, and there are many problems in the world which need to be resolved, but they are not resolving them at all.
They also allow the government to tap into phones, gather personal reports, and many other privacy infringing things. Many Americans view this as a violation of their constitutional rights.
Okay, so in the Fourth Amendment, it protects us from unreasonable searches. So the Patriot Act bypasses that. And in the Sixth Amendment, it gives us the right to fair trial, which this act also can bypass.
In these days of terrorism and the days of illegal immigration, we must know who is in our country and why they are here. With our open borders and many illegal immigrants, some of which are terrorists, coming in with fraudulent documents, what legal way do we have to keep America safe from the terrorists who are already in our country? How do we do this? The Patriot Act. But what is the Patriot Act? The Patriot Act is the U.S. Patriot Act, commonly known as the Patriot Act, is an act of Congress that was signed into law by President George Bush on October 26th of 2001. Its title is a 10-letter acronym for U.S. Patriot Act that stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism.
To follow up on what Crystal says, I'd like to say that this Patriot Act will help us be more prepared for another terrorism attack so that 9/11 doesn't happen again. So America doesn't want a law that waits till something bad happens. We want to take the initiative so that we know when something bad is going to happen. We should use every tool possible to gather information needed to fight against threats or possible terrorist attacks.
I mean, this is really just a question of security versus civil liberties. I mean, the safer the nation feels, the more weight judges will be willing to give to the liberty interest. The greater the threat that an activity is on the nation, to the nation's safety, the stronger the reason for seeking to stop that activity, even at some cost of liberty. This approach is only common sense. Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson gave it vivid expression many years ago when he said that the Bill of Rights should not be made into a suicide pact.
Also, it's best to see this ahead of time. It's like what a nurse would say to a patient. Treat your problem before it gets any worse. If we can see the problem before it gets any bigger or gets out of control, we could stop it before anyone can get hurt. Innocent lives, children, women, men, old elders, everyone's life could be in risk. So it's best to like look forward, not to keep it waiting.
And you guys said that the Patriot Act goes against the Fourth Amendment. Well, in Smith versus
You
Maryland.
want to wait for the rebuttal? This is just your chance to advance all your
Oh,
arguments.
okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay, there are many misconceptions about what the Act actually does. Simply put, it modernizes existing law enforcement tools and practices that existed before the Act was passed in 2001. It makes it more difficult for terrorists to stay a step ahead of the law by switching cell phones or email accounts. Its provisions free investigators to stop plots in the earliest stages, decreasing the likelihood that a plan would mature and become unstoppable. It also outlines methods for handling intelligence and investigations in areas the law did not adequately provide for, such as in cyberspace and cell phone communications.
Okay, so back to what Mia was saying about the 9/11. The Patriot Act, it wouldn't have even prevented the 9/11. So practically, the United States had the power to prevent 9/11, and it didn't need the Patriot Act to combat, and it doesn't need it to combat future terrorist attacks. It's just constantly abusing in spite of worthless political promises that it would not be. So, as I was saying, think of the Constitution as a stepping stool towards a good government. As the Constitution being the stepping stool, would you destroy it? This is what practically the Patriot Act is doing to the Constitution. It is infringing it. And, well, towards, like the phone stuff, what Crystal was saying, they're using wire tapes where they could like hear your conversations without even telling you, and they use them and they spy on you. So it's basically they're saying that the U.S. is not trusting us, so they think that we're the actual criminals here, and they're not investigating over terrorism and neither to terrorists. So they're also using the infamous library provision where the state can monitor your reading habits, even if you have no connection to terrorism. So some vast powers are roving wiretaps where you can be caught in phone sweep without specific warrant, and then it gives agents vast powers that have been abused to investigate innocent Americans.
Also, what Crystal says is like they can, like the Patriot Act, they can have use of to listen to people's calls. It gives law enforcement against more forward to stop a potential terrorist, which means they can stop and interrogate anyone who they think is a terrorist, even though they don't have no proofs.
So like how you were saying, let's say that the government was like listening to people's conversations. They would be paying too much attention into that, while maybe someone else could be like distracting them while there's actual like terrorism going in a certain place. So like it wouldn't really like, work out.
And also the provisions, they require banks to report your financial activities to federal agents. So like everyone here agrees that terrorists should be caught and stopped. So even before, like I said, 9/11, the government already had the powerful tools of intelligence to stop terrorism.
Well, you guys said that the Patriot Act goes against the Constitution, but doesn't the Constitution state that it is the government's job to ensure domestic tranquility and provide for the common defense, which is exactly what the Patriot Act is meant to do. And it doesn't go against the Fourth Amendment. I mean, it would have never passed if it went against the Constitution. And in Smith versus Maryland, the Supreme Court held that there is no reasonable expectation of privacy, and thus no Fourth Amendment protection for the phone numbers people dial, as distinct from the content of the call. They don't actually listen in on the conversations. They just know like the numbers you dial, where you call, and the length of the conversation. Because the number dialed is information you voluntarily share with the phone company to complete the call for billing purposes. So even if they weren't collecting the data of like the phone call, I mean, the phone company would still have it. That's what you pay them for.
Plus, it's not only our phone calls, they go through our emails and everyday things. I would like to present some evidence, but does anyone know the room or the thing for the... I just wouldn't know. So what?
78_2.
Now, we say that it's bad, but we say it's good because, and think about it, if something can be prevented before something can go to be incredibly big or someone can get hurt, I present to everyone my evidence about this young girl who did a stupid idea of posting, she threatened the American Airlines on her Twitter saying, I am an Islam, in Afghanistan, and I am gonna, in the 1st of June, I am gonna do something really big. Bye. So, would you guys get scared if you guys read that all of a sudden? If you're going on that plane on June 1st? If you see that ahead of time, the police saw that ahead of time. Noted here, your IP and details have been forwarded to the security and the FBI. Now, for this stupid fact, this girl got in trouble. But think about it. What if it were real? What if you got on that plane and in midair it went downhill? Seeing as if you see this problem ahead of time, you'll be alerted. Okay, everyone here who has siblings, older parents, cousins, I don't know, you all go to work one day to a building and someone must have called in a buddy saying, hey, we're gonna bomb this place. Imagine they caught that. Your family or cousin or whatever was saved by that. You gotta think, should we like ditch an idea like this that could actually save us or prevent another 9/11? So yeah.
You also mentioned that you thought that the government was spending too much money on, security and that we were wasting too much money on enforcing the Patriot Act and the security that goes into it.
But you,
Mary said that. Yeah, Mary said that. Pretty sure she did. Okay.
okay, well, Mary, you said that America didn't, or the people that put in the Patriot Act don't trust us, Americans.
We don't need it.
Yeah.
And that even if it was enacted when 9/11 happened, it would have still happened.
Yeah. So the Patriot Act was made after.
It was after.
The fact, so you wouldn't know.
There is no way of
if they would
knowing.
have stopped it or
Yeah.
not. can't put a price tag on life. And also that it costs billions just to repair the damage that 9/11 did.
So technically, we're saving money, saving the country from disaster.
I gotta be safe in this place.
So, in 2009, I read an article that at least 30, almost, well, they were supposed to be terrorist attacks were foiled. Also, as recognized in the Declaration of Independence, it's the first responsibility of government to preserve the lives and liberty of the people. And you can wonder, what does it take to do this? And the Patriot Act is what it takes. There's always a give and take.
Okay. Due to the events of September 11, they have revealed that the United States is in much greater jeopardy from international terrorism than they had previously believed. It stands to reason that our civil rights and liberty will be circulated. They should
So do you have anything else specifically to rebut to something they said?
wait. How many don't they rebuttal and then we go again?
What's that?
How does this?
They already did the rebuttal against you guys. Now you guys are doing your rebuttal against them.
Oh, and then okay. Okay. This is from 2000.
Now tell me, you three. You guys already know that we're being heard on our phones every single day, right? Now, if you guys know that, and if you guys were to say something dumb over the phone, you guys should have known by there that you guys would have been tracked right off the bat. So, in one case, if that was something big that was going to happen, then it would have caught you guys, and some people could have been saved. So, I say that if we do something stupid over the phone, I'm happy that for the minimum, at least we're going to be safe, because I, for one, don't want to go in a building that might blow up in my face and I come out walking in one piece. So I feel safe. Yeah, we all know they can get in trouble, but
Larry,
it's for our
can I
good.
ask you, who were you responding to specifically on this team?
Didn't they say that?
To get them. But what I really want to say is that ever since then, we actually just stuck together and just it has prevented a few things, so I'm happy for that.
It has actually prevented that since I think more than 26 cases. Oh, and it also helped find the people responsible for the Boston bombings. So you can't really say that it hasn't done anything. Congress is
also talked about how they can search without warrants, right? Well, the law simply lets the government use tools that police officers have used for decades. And the National Security Agency, agents of that, cannot eavesdrop unless they get the judge's permission. They must demonstrate that the suspect is a terrorist first.
Okay, if you're done, that's it. Does anyone have a question for either side? Okay, let's give them a hand. Okay.